That radio chick Cheryl Lee here. Welcome to the Still Rocking It podcast, where we'll have music, news, reviews and interviews with some of our favourite Australian musicians and artists. Legends of rock unite on stage. Multi-award winner Dave Gleeson from the Screaming Jets and the Angels will join forces with ARIA Hall of Famer and multi-award winner Russell Morris and music giants Jack Jones from Southern Sons and Ray Thistlethwaite from Thirsty Merc, performing their biggest hits together on stage as the Caprettos get back together and on the road again. To catch up on podcasts from other favourite artists, simply go to thatradiochick.com.au. Hi Russell, how you going?
I'm good. Are you doing good?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a bit cold here in South Australia. How about over there?
It's cold in Queensland at the moment. I got back from Melbourne, though, and nothing's as cold as Melbourne.
No.
Melbourne was horrible. We were down there, and it was freezing. I went to see my grandson play soccer, and we were standing in the rain for an hour and a half, and it was like 7 degrees.
No.
So it's cold up here at the moment, but not hideously so.
I think it was 2 here this morning. It's a little bit better now.
That's not good for me. I don't like it.
No, yeah. I don't like it either. All righty. We better get stuck into it.
No worries. Okay.
You're with Cheryl Lee, that radio chick, and I'd like to welcome into the studio today Russell Morris, a man who needs no introduction. Thank you for joining us today, Russell.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to join you.
We've talked at great length in the past about all of your achievements and great hits and accolades. And if anybody would like to hear about those and be reminded how much and why we love Russell, pop back and have a listen to one of the previous podcasts. But today we're talking about your boy band.
That's right, the boy band. We are the boy band, the Goat Band.
This is not your first supergroup. It's not even your second supergroup. Twice before, you've been involved in some great bands with some great mates, Cotton, Keys and Morris, and Burns, Cotton and Morris. Can you draw any comparisons between those mates and these mates?
Sort of. It's just that with Daryl and Jim, I'd known all my life virtually. And when we put the Goats together, we tried to pull the best from each genre. And like the first version of the Goats, we wanted guys that were virtuoso musicians as well. Whereas Daryl, Jim and I were just I'm an average guitar player and so was Daryl. But you look at people like Ray and you look at Jack. Ray is a superb guitar player, but a frighteningly great keyboard player. They're using him, Joe Satriani has him on tour with him, and Sammy Hagar is using him. And Jack is right up there as well. So we wanted to put together a band that was like incredibly good as musicians as well. So we didn't need another guitar player. All we needed to get was a bass player and a drummer. And the band was self-sufficient. It worked out that way really beautifully, and it's been fun. The first incarnation was with Daryl Braithwaite, of course, my good mate, Dazza.
Yeah.
And then along came the unpredictable and absolutely lovable Dave. Dave Gleeson is just a breath of fresh air. He's just wonderful.
He is. He's a larrikin. He's a lovable larrikin. We all love him. Tell me, did you swap out Daryl for Dave because Daryl kept doing 12-minute versions of horses?
Daryl kept standing in front of the spotlight that was shining on me, so I said he's got to go. Daryl found it uncomfortable because he doesn't know what to do with himself when he's not singing. So he felt a little bit uncomfortable with it, and we understood that, and he wanted to pursue other stuff. So we let that go, and we thought Dave was the perfect person to do it, and it's worked out that way. And I love playing Dave's songs as I love playing Jack's and Ray's. So it's an ordeal of pleasure.
You are listening to Still Rocking It, the podcast with Cheryl Lee.
Well, I think we shall have a song from the new Goat on the block. Everybody knows Dave Gleeson as the front man of the Screaming Jets and, of course, formerly the front man also of the Angels. But what you may not know is that he is also a little bit country. Going to play the title track of his debut, in fact his only solo album, Wanted Man. I wonder if the Goats, the greatest of all time, are going to play a Dave Gleeson song at the fabulous Caprettos gig. Interesting. We'll be back to speak to the most senior of goats, Russell Morris, straight after this.
Yeah, getting tough and getting had, you know it ain't all bad playing in a rockin' band. In every place I go, it's nice to know that I'm a wanted man.
I think I've seen you each time that you've come to Adelaide. Spoke to Ray and Dave back in November before your gig at the Bridgeway. Ray mentioned that John Starr and you guys, there was a little bit of talk of an album. Did anything ever come of that? Is that still a possibility?
Cheryl, do you have any pets?
Yes, I've got a 14-year-old dog.
Dogs are different. In this band, there are actually 6 cats. And if you try and herd a whole bunch of cats into one spot, it's impossible. We've written 2 songs and recorded 2, but to get everyone's... The other month, we were rehearsing and everyone started clowning around, and Ray, who was just a genius, started singing giggledy-gook words, and it was fantastic. And I said, does everyone like this? And everyone said, yeah, it's great, it's great. So I went home and wrote a lot of the lyrics and sent them back, and I said, change what you want to do. Yep. Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Nothing's been done. We haven't done anything. So it's very hard, particularly with Ray overseas. He's constantly overseas, and Jack is constantly trying to build his recording studio. So it's just, I thought, I'll just write my own songs, damn it.
Jack was here in Adelaide only a week or 2 ago as well. Ray did allude to that. He said getting you all together in the same place at the same time was the tricky part. But are you saying it won't happen overnight, but it might happen one day?
I'm not sure. And I think the problem is I'm not sure what their commitments are to record companies. Like, I know if we do an album, my record company's going to say, well, I want it on my label. And their companies would say exactly the same thing. So that's where it becomes a bit of a problem.
Yes. It's not as simple as just selling yourselves to the highest bidder.
No, it's not that, because we're contracted,
Yeah. Still Rockin' It podcast with that radio chick, Cheryl Lee. I think we should have one now from the youngest, greatest of all time, Ray Thistlethwaite. He's just a baby at 44, born in 1980. Really? Here he is out the front of his band, Thirsty Merc, from the self-titled album 2004, Summertime. Then back to speak to the senior goat, Mr. Russell Morris, straight after this.
Baby, in the summertime, and even if I have to wait till next year, I don't care. All I know is I don't need you there.
Is Jason Voyer with you this time on bass?
No, I fired him. He was a pain in the neck. When he sang that song better than I could, I thought I'd got to get rid of him.
You did not.
No, he's still with us. As long as he can work with us, we'll keep him. The problem is he has a commitment to Daryl, so we have to work out when Daryl's working and not working so we can use Jace. And also the same with Jackie Barnes, because when his dad snaps his fingers and said, Jackie, I'm on the road, Jackie, that's his first commitment.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So is Jackie joining us this time?
Yes.
Excellent. So how is poor old Jason feeling at the moment with regards to the footy?
Jason and I ring each other up and cry every Monday morning. It's just hideous. But hey, you can't complain. 3 premierships, we were pretty excited. 3 premierships, you've got to be grateful. Even if we stay on the bottom for a while, that's the way it is. But that's football. Let another team have a good shot at it. You know, I'd like to see some of the teams that haven't won it, like St Kilda in particular. That'd be great to see them win. It's good to see teams come from nowhere and build their way up there.
True. The only thing is I'm at the bottom of the footy tipping because I vote with my heart, not my head.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one. It's really hard to tip. I would always tip against the Tigers because that way you win both ways. If your team wins, it's such a big thrill. It doesn't matter that you've lost out on the tipping. But if the team loses, which you might expect, you get a tipping point.
That's right. At least you've got the tip correct. Good thinking. Right. I like it. John Farnham, another great Aussie talent, has just turned 75 this week, and you too have a big birthday this month. Any plans for a big celebration or a big party, Russell?
No, I never have birthday party. If a birthday party comes along, it's because some bloody idiot's organised it for me. I don't believe in celebrating milestones. It's funny. It's just the way I am.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys that put big store on Easter or Christmas or things like that. And it's probably my fault that I miss out. I just think it seems just like another day, and time rolls on and you just have to keep rolling along with it. And I just feel, so it was my birthday. What's that mean? It's just one more day. Yeah.
Any excuse for a party in my eyes.
I've had too many parties in my time in the music business.
Every gig's a party, maybe.
Oh, yeah, you work with Brian Cadd long enough and you just don't want to party anymore.
I've heard he's a very naughty boy.
Yes.
You are listening to Still Rocking It, the podcast with Cheryl Lee.
Time for a song now. Let's have Always and Ever, a beautiful song by Southern Sons with one of the GOATs, the fabulous Caprettos, Jack Jones, a.k.a. Erwin Thomas, out the front. And we were lucky enough to see him perform this song with his band here not that very long ago. And then we're back to speak to number one Richmond ticket holder, Russell Morris.
I've always loved you from the start. I'm sure that my heart will be always and ever with you.
This one in Adelaide is Thursday the 10th of October. Get onto the Googleometer and get your tickets. Norwood Concert Hall is seated this time. We were able to do a little bit of dancing at the Bridgeway, but I think this one we're all going to be sitting down.
Yes.
You're going to be flash.
Yeah, it'll be all right. I think people will enjoy it. At least I'll get to see, everyone will get to see all the time. So, I don't know, maybe people can dance on the sides. I'm not sure how it works there, but I never dance because I look like Peter Garrett trying to dance. You know how he used to look like he's escaped from somewhere when he was on stage? That's how I look when I dance, and it's horrifying. So I never dance intentionally because I don't want to embarrass myself.
I'll see you down the front because if we're allowed to, I'll do a bit of a dance on the side because I do like to listen to music, some songs in particular, with my whole body.
There are people like that. They feel it physically, yeah.
Is there a question that you wished some journalist would ask you? You think, why doesn't anybody ask me about this?
This is a theoretical wish. I wish a journalist would say to me, wow, how do you feel now that you've solved the problem and the answer to what lies inside a black hole at the centre of our galaxy? That's the question I'd like to be asked.
Wow, and how would you feel if you did that?
Well, I'd feel I'd know the answers to a lot of questions.
The meaning of life.
Maybe. We don't know. We don't know. It's an interesting... So, yeah, that's about all. I don't know any other questions. What else would I like to be asked? Yeah, I'm more interested in stuff like that.
That is interesting. I don't know if we're going to know the answer to that in our lifetime, but...
No, all mathematics and everything breaks down theoretically because of a singularity. So I don't know if they'll ever get to a solution of it. No one's ever going to go in there.
No, well, if they do, they won't come out again.
That's right, yeah. Or they might come out somewhere else.
That's right. You have got such a vast and broad back catalogue. We've got the Australian trilogy and Sharkmouth and Van Diemen's Land and Red Dirt, Red Heart, 2 Jack Chrome albums, plus all the early hits. How are you going to pick what to play for us?
It's hard sometimes to know what to pick because, strangely enough, my favourite songs are usually not the audience's favourite songs. So I tend to have to wear 2 hats. So I have to wear a hat where I'm an entertainer and people need to feel that they've got their money's worth coming to see the show. So if I had my way, I'd be playing a whole lot of songs that people would probably go, oh, that's not my favourite song that he does, but my favourites are other people's unfavourites, I guess.
So you have to give the people what they want to a certain extent.
Yeah. I indulge myself when I record. I record things that I want to do, and hopefully out of the stuff I put down, some of those songs will become people's favourites, and they're the ones that you tend to play live at concerts.
Still Rocking It podcast with that radio chick Cheryl Lee. We mentioned earlier that this is not Russell's first boy band. I'd like to play you something from Cotton, Keys and Morris live at the Basement. As Russell mentioned, we've lost Daryl Cotton and we've lost Jim Keys. Rest in peace, playing in the boy band In the Sky. This is a beautiful song. It's a Master's Apprentices song written by Doug Ford and Jim Keys. Because I Love You. back to speak a bit more to the GOAT, the greatest of all time, senior fabulous Capretto, Russell Morris, shortly. Your other love is acting. You were Riff Raff in the Melbourne production of the Rocky Horror Show. And is it Time Warp that Pete Robinson plays for you?
Sweet Transvestite.
That's right. Is that like an ode back to then, or do you guys just like the song?
Well, it was a joke. It started as a joke. What happened one night, Pete was telling me, he said, all I ever wanted to do was star as Frankenfurter.
Really?
I said, really? He said, I know the whole show backwards. I said, really?
There you go.
On stage that night, I said to Pete, I turned to Pete and I said, Pete, you have a secret. And I said, what is your secret? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you wanted to play Frankenfurter. He went, yes, that's right, yeah, blah, blah. And I hadn't heard him play it. I said, all right, play something from the show. And he looked at me and he didn't want to do it. And all of a sudden he launched into Sweet Transvestite. And the audience just went nuts. And he just played it. He played it by himself. It was fabulous. So I kept it in, and every now and then I would throw it to him. I'd say, Peter, come on, Sweet Transvestite. And he'd look at it and roll his eyes and do it, and the crowd would go nuts.
I love it. I mean, it's one of my favourite movies. I always see the stage show if it comes to town. So, yeah, I love it when you guys play it.
I have a news flash for you. When I was living in Los Angeles,
yes,
we went to the Roxy, which was a little club on Sunset Boulevard. It's near Beverly Hills there. It's a tiny little place. We went in to watch the stage show of the Rocky Horror Show with the original cast, Tim Curry, Meatloaf. It blew my mind. I could not believe how fabulous it was.
You lucky bugger.
Yeah, that was the first time they performed it. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I became a fan from then. Also, what's his name? Richard was in it. Richard, the writer, guy that plays Riff Raff.
Richard O'Brien.
He was in it. Really, really good.
You are listening to Still Rocking It, the podcast with Cheryl Lee.
Well, here it is, Sweet Transvestite by Tim Curry from the Rocky Horror Picture Show soundtrack from 1975. And if you see Russell and his band, Pete Robinson, who also is in Electric Mary, does a great version of this. We're going to be back to address rumours of a fifth GOAT, a fifth member of the fabulous Caprettos, and to say farewell to Russell after this.
I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
You've got a very special GOAT joining you for this We're Back tour, encore tour. You've got Joe joining you.
I think Joe only joins us in Perth. I don't think he's doing the whole tour.
So we might miss him in Adelaide by the sound of it.
Yeah, I think Joe only does Perth. Yeah, he couldn't do the whole thing, I don't think. I'm not sure what the way it worked out, but that's the way it is.
Is this like an interview, a tryout? Is he going to be a GOAT, do you reckon?
He's wanted to from the beginning. He wanted to be one, and it didn't work out that way. We thought we needed someone like a Dave who was a rock god, sort of. So we got Dave in, and he's added that crazy, zany thing. But we may end up going with Joe. We may end up doing it with 5.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Joe's a phenomenal performer, and we all love him as a guy. He's great.
Well, this will be a good tryout for him. We'll see how he goes, shall we?
Exactly.
What's on your playlist at the moment? What's the favourite song of yours? What are you feeling at the minute? And I'll play it.
I tell you who I really do love is Post Malone. And one of his old songs, I really love, Circles.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. Senior leader of the GOATs, the fabulous Caprettos, Russell Morris. I'll see you down the front when you get to our fabulous town.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you again.
Still Rocking It podcast with that radio chick, Cheryl Lee. We will leave you today with Russell's favourite song of the moment, Circles by Post Malone from his Hollywood's Bleeding album of 2019. And I look forward to seeing you at a fabulous Caprettos show very soon. You're with Cheryl Lee, that radio chick. Thank you so much for joining me on the Still Rocking It podcast. Hope to catch you again next time. Get out when you can, support Aussie music, and I'll see you down the front.